Hello again. Welcome back to the Flyin Style Podcast. I'm your host, Matthew Mitchell, back with my co-host, Stephen Masley.
Hello, ladies and gentlemen. Back on this fine Friday evening.
Yes, sir. We are back, and we are 5-0. The Eagles beat the Rams this weekend, 23-14. Another good game to watch. The Eagles are on a roll. So before we get too far into anything, I just want to hear your initial thoughts, reactions to the game, Maz.
So the first half was what we actually predicted during the podcast. It was going to be back and forth. A lot of checkdowns. Cooper Kupp had like 8 receptions in the first half. Puka scored. It was 17-14 going into halftime. We scored at the end of the half in the last 30 seconds, which was awesome to see going into halftime. Great stuff. And then it came to us like, I thought this game was going to be a shootout. I thought it was going to go forever. And I was like, okay, like 17-14, we're going way over like 30 points. Second half was like, we were dominant on defense. Not in a way that it wasn't like fun to watch, honestly. It was fun to watch Reddick get the 2 sacks in the second half, and Jalen get another one, which he had in the first half. It slammed Stafford to the ground. But in the second half, it was kind of, we would both have these longer methodical drives where we just get right to the 50-ish, and we would just punt. It was just like a long punt, and it was kind of like a boring, but like it's kind of a boring game, honestly. Hurts had that pick over the middle, which was a little brutal, but it was not. I was never like nervous in a sense. I know we only scored 6 points in the second half as well, but it's one of those games where it was like you look up and you're like, oh crap, like there's 2 minutes left. And I felt like our defense that made me feel really good about our defense, honestly. Stafford missed a couple throws, but we completely readjusted in the second half, and I was very happy to see that we weren't playing the soft zone and on a Koopa Nuka and a Cooper Kupp. So I can't say his name right. I say Puka,
can you repeat that for me?
Puka Nakua and Cooper Kupp. Dude, there's a lot of ka and poo and ka and sorry, but highlight stats of the game. Jalen threw for 303 and a tutty. He had that one interception. He ran for 72 yards, and obviously the QB sneak touchdown, which was our highest rusher of the game, by the way. I like to see him getting out running as well. And Goddard had a dominant first half, which is very key, which we haven't seen all year, which was fantastic to see finally. He finished the game with 8 receptions, 117 yards, and the first touchdown of the game. On defensive wise, Reddick had 2 sacks. He had the almost basically not the game ending, but toward the end, very important drive. Came down, stopped him, did his signature run on. He was so hype on the field. And then Jalen Carter played amazing with also recording 2 sacks in the game. I can't complain about this game. I know you want to see more prolific offense in the second half, but the way the game was, it was just back forth, just like punting, but it was like long drives. It was very, very stagnant game, I would say, in the second half, but we pulled it out. We got a win, and we actually kind of took over their stadium, so that was cool.
The Eagles are really good at doing that. I don't think there's much thing of home field advantage when you're playing the Eagles, unfortunately, for other teams, which is awesome for us. I always love to see it. It's always phenomenal. It blows my mind every time I see it. Just the sheer amount of Eagles fans in that stadium is absolutely ridiculous. So I love to see that. My biggest thing that bothered me about the Eagles this week, obviously, like you said, we got the win. A win is a win. I'll always be happy with a win. I know it was one of our more complete games in general. We had a pretty good game on offense. I know we didn't get the ball, in the end zone as much as we wanted to, but we put up a lot of yards. Jalen Hurts with, almost 400 yards by himself, total is definitely something you can't complain about. And like we said in the podcast last episode, this was going to be a tough game through and through, and we kind of assumed it was going to be that way. And it turned out like I'm, not surprised to see that the Eagles still handled it in their way. They are going to win the game no matter what scenario you put them in, no matter, it doesn't matter if it's a close game, a blowout. They don't care what it is. They just want to get that win, and that's what they did. So the big thing that I want to talk about is their red zone percentage. Obviously, they really struggled in the red zone this game. They have all season. Right now, they are currently 27th best in red zone touchdown rate at 42.11. That's a number that has to go up. It's really hard to win games, with a 42% completion percentage in the red zone. As much as I want to harp on that stat, though, the fact that we are averaging 28.2 points per game with that red zone percentage is a stellar thing to see. We are still at this point in the season, I think, what are we, 6 games through? And we are still not clicking on all cylinders, which is scary. But regardless of the fact that we're not clicking on all cylinders, we are still the 5th best offense in the league in terms of points per game. So that's something to look forward to as Eagles fans. It is starting to get a little later into the season, but it isn't late in the season. We still have plenty of time. It's not even halfway through the season yet. They're going to get this thing clicking at some point. I wish they would get it together a little sooner because, not converting in the red zone is going to hurt us at some point. Luckily, we've been playing the weaker part of our schedule up to this point, but we are starting to get into the hefty part of our schedule. We're going to be playing the Bills, the Chiefs, the 49ers, the Cowboys, the Giants. All right, the Giants suck, sorry. But you get what I'm saying. Oh, and while we're talking about divisional rivals, I do want to reiterate my statement from the middle of the off season, talking about Dak Prescott and how bad he was. I just wanted to re-up on that after this past week. I think a lot of people are now agreeing with the statement, despite all the comments that we received trying to defend Dak Prescott. But, I'm keeping receipts. I'm going to be here all year. I'll be back to talk about how bad Dak Prescott played this season at the end of the year. But regardless of that fact, the Eagles are struggling, but doing really well while they struggle, which is hard to believe. But honestly, I'm not worried about them because they only have room to go up from here, and they're still, like I said, averaging 28.2 points per game. And they're averaging 240.4 yards on offense, which is the 10th best in the league, and 164 yards per game in rushing, which is 2nd best in the league. Which I'm a little shocked to see, to be honest, because it feels like our run game has kind of fallen off a little bit in the past 3 weeks. But I suppose it seems like a lot of the league is really struggling in the run game this year. For all of our fantasy players out there, there's not a lot of good running backs that are really producing big time this year. There's only a few. So I guess that kind of makes sense based on how the season's been going. But I would like to see the Eagles try to reincorporate that run game a little bit more, get DeAndre Swift a little more involved in the game again. It was electric watching him in the first few games. I feel like he's been a little non-existent in the past few. So I'd love to see us get him back going again. But my biggest thing outside of the red zone percentage that I want to take away from this is how well the defensive line did this game. And you talked about Reddick and Carter, and that's and always will be the focal point of an Eagles team. The Eagles have always focused on D-line and O-line. They always will focus on the line of scrimmage. And obviously on last season, the D-line was our strong suit in terms of any position on the team. So it's nice to see them finally starting to get back into the swing of things. They've been a little bit slow to start the season, especially Reddick. I'm excited to see them finally start to, get off the ball, get into the backfield, get some pressures, get some QB hits and some sacks. And I'm hopeful that this is a sign of things to come with the D-line and, what we're going to expect from them. I'm also hoping to see, especially after this game, although he's going to be out for next game with a sprained ankle, I do hope this is a sign that we're going to start seeing more of Jalen Carter throughout the season. As of right now, he's only out for this game. He's expected to be back next. He's in a similar situation that Jordan Davis was in last year, where he probably could come back, but it becomes a question of whether he should come back or not. I'm, as much as I want to see him play, I do want them to sit him until he's healthy. But yeah, I guess we're going to be, we're going to be keeping tabs on that, and we'll see. But I'm so excited for that kid. And, I was watching some film on him, and just his hand movement, the power and aggressiveness in his, his swats, his pull downs, everything. His technique is so good. It's unlike anything I've ever seen. I mean, not anything I've ever seen, but like it's genuinely reminiscent of Aaron Donald. And I mean, I'm not going to say I'm comparing him to Aaron Donald. Don't take me too far. Just the way he uses his hands, the way he moves his hands, and the violence with which he uses his hands is something I feel like I've personally only seen in someone like Aaron Donald. And, we've only seen Carter playing, about 50% of the snaps up to this point in the season. And I just cannot wait to see him in full swing.
No, you couldn't have said it better. I mean, I'm hoping he wins Defensive Rookie of the Year. That would be great because I have a feature on that. But despite that fact, so him being out next week versus the Jets, you're not worried at all that Slay's out? I know we have a little bit more injuries. I know everyone says it's the Jets. We're gonna kill the Jets. I just saw Sauce on the injury list as well, but him being out, Slay being out, Evans being out. How do you feel about like all of that going into it, that going against this Jets team?
How does it look like I feel?
You're not worried.
I'm not worried about this one, Steven. I cannot lie. I'm usually not the kind of person to act like it either. I'm the kind of person that thoroughly feels that every week is a game in the NFL. You never know what's going to happen. And I'm not going to lie to you. This Jets defense is actually very good. The only way I can see this game going in their favor at all is, dependent on how well they can slow down Jalen and AJ and Devontae and DeAndre Swift, which I don't really see them doing well enough for their offense to pick up the slack. I simply cannot see Zach Wilson beating this defense. We've seen Zach Wilson have a few games here and there. We've seen him, make some good passes from time to time, but at no point have we seen him just throw it all together and keep it consistent. And I can't imagine his big game is going to be against the Eagles. I just can't. With our D-line, yes, we will have Slay out. If we get pressure on him, I can't imagine him throwing for over 150 yards. And you can't win a game that way. And that's the way I see it.
I mean, that's fair. That is fair. It's just like a spot for us where we're just on a roll. You see, like the Phillies, everyone's focused on the Phillies. I know they're not, but Fletcher Cox is in the locker room with the Phillies. That doesn't really matter. He can celebrate whatever he wants. I'm just saying, like, you do that on a Thursday. I know it doesn't. It's the Jets and everything, but if like you see this, like Breece Hall has been getting better. He's finally got 20 touches last week. He goes for almost 200 yards. I know it's the Broncos defense, but I mean they had I know Patty played really crappy in that game. They only won by 3. Like it wasn't a matter of fact that I just don't want us to overlook this team is my only concern. And I know if we and I don't think we ever do. And that's why I love this team. I love Jalen Hurts and I love the leaders on our team. So I have the confidence with you. I just feel like as like anybody else, if we didn't have the leadership that we do, we could easily just look over this team and be like, they could still attack us if their defense is the only thing holding them together. Like, right. So they're not putting up more than 3 touchdowns on us, like more than 24 points. Like the over under in this game is 41 for a reason. Like it's not supposed to be a lot of points scored, but I think that we are going to be on the receiving end of just scoring the points. I'm hoping, and we're shutting them down on defense. But the only way they win is if they establish a run game with Breece Hall and Dalvin Cook and are able to run the ball on us. That's it.
Well, to go against that, as much as they have been trying to incorporate Breece Hall and he's finally been starting to get some more touches, bottom line of the fact is that the Eagles have the number 1 rushing defense in the league, and they only allow 61 yards per game. Somebody like Breece Hall, who is just getting back into the swing of things, I don't see him breaking through that defense either. It really the key to the game is going to be our defensive line. How often we're getting to Zach Wilson, how well we can stop Breece Hall. And I sound like a broken record because that's pretty freaking obvious, like stop. The defense has to stop them. Like, yeah, sure. Like, yes. But the two keys that we have to key in on are Wilson and Breece Hall. And if we can stop Breece Hall and leave the ball in Zach Wilson's hands, I can't see him passing for over 200 yards. And simply, I don't see a lot of scenarios where we lose this game. Even if we played our worst game, I still see us winning by, 3 points at the minimum. At the max, whatever. I know they played a good game against the Chiefs, but it was a game where they played perfect and the Chiefs played terribly. And the Chiefs still won. And to be completely honest with you, and obviously this is can be a bold take, cannot, whatever. We've talked about this before. I do still think that the Eagles have a better team than the Chiefs do. And simply, I just don't see them putting up that much of a fight with this team right now. I don't think this is the spot where we see the Eagles stumble. I think if there's any chance of seeing the Eagles stumble, it's going to be against a divisional team. And that usually tends to be the case with them. And at the moment, I think they're going to keep their roll up, and I think they're going to take it as far as they can.
I like it. I know it just seems like a girth spot. You come back home, you're on a high. We haven't played bad. Like, for as much as we haven't played to our best level, like there hasn't been a game where I'm like, this is like horrific football, and I know that's because of our talent. I don't know what it's just like an ugly game. We didn't play the best. I don't know. I don't know why I'm scared.
They're such a good team that it's easy to nitpick on the bad stuff about them. Like, I don't even know how to put this the right way. I don't think I can put it quite into words, but it's they're so good that even when they're playing bad, they're better than most of the teams, is basically what I'm getting at.
Yeah.
And I think you're correct in saying that they haven't really played that well yet. They really haven't. They've played
They have moments. They definitely have moments, and
they have moments for sure. Absolutely. They just haven't been able to put all of it together yet. That will make them stand out from everybody else. And I think if they do, then we're going to be the hardest team in the league to stop.
You're going to see scores like what the Niners did to the Cowboys. But so anyway, so what's your prediction for this game score wise? How do you see the game going? And just to put it out there for the score completely.
I'm going to go 31-7. Maybe 10. 31-10. How about that? That'll be nice. They get double digits. Actually, hold on. That was off pure instinct. So if it happens, just know I said it. But realistically, I'm thinking more like I don't think we get over 30. I think we're going to be like 24 or 28.
I'm grossed out by this game. I think it's disgusting. I think we should demolish them. And I don't know why I don't have the confidence that I usually have in demolishing shitty teams.
You have confidence against the hard teams, and you have no confidence against the ridiculously easy teams. So.
Yeah, because I just don't like letdowns. When you set yourself up on this pedestal of expecting something, let's just saying, you have no. All right, that's just very negative. I'm not going to say it. I'm saying we win this game in a close fashion. I'm going to say 21-17. I think that I'm going to say 24-17, actually. I think we score a late touchdown. I think this game is just annoying. I think our defense goes up in the end. We should just demolish this team. And we honestly, the more I talk about, we're going to. There's no reason not to, but I think this Jets defense is just very good, and a couple injuries on our defense are going to make them stay in the game more than.
I do think they have a good defense, but to be completely honest with you, I think this is the most surefire win we've had this season, if you ask me. But Hopefully I don't eat my words on that, but that's how I'm feeling this week, and I'm riding with it because as far as I'm aware, I have no reason to feel otherwise.
That's fair enough.
But all right, guys, that'll wrap up this episode. Thanks for tuning in. Please, like and subscribe to this video and our channel. We really appreciate it. We always appreciate you guys tuning in as well. Before we go, just wanted to give a quick shout out to the Phillies for winning their divisional series last night against the team with the best record in baseball.
Screw Acuna.
So that's huge. Back to the championship series and hopefully back to the World Series. So we're going to be rooting them on over here. I hope you guys are too.
8 more, baby.
Yes, sir. 8 more. And once again, we'll be back next week talking about the Jets game and the game for next week. I forget who we're playing right now, but I will have that back to you next week. So
Miami.
Thanks again for tuning in. Miami? All right. You heard it here first. All right, guys. Thanks for tuning in. We appreciate it. Go Birds, and we'll see you next week.
Love you guys.